Welcome back, friends, to Let's Play Rule the Waves 3 as Germany, starting in 1935. It's early 1960, and I've been in the garden, actually, which is why there hasn't been a release. It's spring, weeds, stuff. Anyhow, I've also been musing about this fleet destroyer program and what to do about that, and also we may have war soon. I mean, possibly. Who knows? But let's look at the fleet destroyer. So I presented you three designs, and 176 of you very kindly took the time to bother to vote. I really appreciate that. And loads and loads and loads of you commented. And obviously, there's a certain, synergy here. A clear winner by 2/3 for the general purpose. And yeah, the other two being very much in joint second place. But also there was some, very interesting comments about the designs. I mean, basically, it turns out that I'm far too much of an old-fashioned dreadnought admiral, and I need to get with it, man. So, more missiles, fewer guns, minimum torpedoes that you can get away with. It seems to be the order of the day / strong advice from some very knowledgeable players of the game. So I've had a little bit of a revision. So, well, actually, first of all, tip of the hat and a thank you to all of these people who chipped in interesting advice, often lengthy. So thank you so much for taking the trouble to do that. And I thought, well, I need to follow this. So for my air defense destroyer, I reduced the number of 3-inch guns from 6 to 2, which obviously reduced the heavy AA. I increased the medium AA and did something for the radar tech, increased that too. In particular, the advice was 3-inch guns do add to heavy air defense, which does hit airplanes, but doesn't do anything for missiles, apparently, which I'm sort of surprised at, because heavy SAMs and heavy air-to-surface or surface-to-surface missiles were basically the size of airplanes back in the late 50s and early 60s, but anyhow, who knows. I've also tweaked, so red is reduction, pink is addition. I also tweaked the general purpose, reducing the number of guns and the number of torpedoes, and being able, therefore, to squeeze in 4 more valuable surface-to-surface missiles. And for the surface strike destroyer, I was able to reduce the guns, but actually make them into auto-loading and increase the shells and squeeze in 11 surface-to-surface missiles. Obviously, 12 would have been better, but topside space is just such a limiter. So, same roles, slightly optimized, reducing guns, increasing missiles, minimizing torpedoes, as I've been told to do. And then I thought, well, I've been thinking about these as individual ships, which is, fine, but actually they operate in divisions. So I've done a little bit of calculations around what's the major weapons for a group, a division of 4, in this case, general purpose destroyers. And I'm using that as sort of the baseline. So where it's bold and pink, this division is a leader in that category. Where it's bold and grey, they're a leader in that category too, but it doesn't really matter that much. Where they are light grey, they don't have that. So 8 medium SAMs in 4 general purpose destroyers. That's worth having. No light SAMs, 20 heavy AA, 4 helicopters, 4 medium AAs, 64 ASW. I mean, to think that I was in no way attempting to acquire ASW and generally just filled it up once topside space was maxed, 32 heavy surface missiles, again, well worth having. No 6-inch guns, eight 3-inch guns, and 16 torpedoes. 4 light air-to-surface missiles on the helicopters as well. So that's 4 general purpose destroyers. If we looked at the 4 AA destroyers, well, the number of SAMs goes to 16. I mean, that's, quite an impressive amount. And, the ASW goes down to 28, and there's no real surface strike capability worth mentioning. And no helicopters, particularly. For the surface strike destroyers, equally, they're very strong in ASW and obviously very strong in surface missile. And my judgment around this really was that actually I thought this was a pretty good all-rounder. 8 SAMs is well worth having and is certainly a lot better than 8 light SAMs, to have the medium SAMs. 64 ASW is pretty good compared to, all right, 72 is better, but I'm not that fussed. 32 heavy surface missiles compared to 44. Not that bothered for the 6-inch guns. So yeah, I feel this is coming out pretty okay. I think the AA destroyers are great to screen the carriers, particularly my giant big carriers. They are my crown jewels. They need all the SAM love in the world, and they are never really expected to get close to a surface strike engagement. I mean, things have to go pretty wrong. And for the surface strike destroyers, I think they're so weighted to surface missiles that this light SAM, which basically just protects themselves, doesn't protect anybody else, is just too weak in air-to-air warfare. So yeah, that was my thinking around that. And then I thought, well, could I flex around this? Could I create general purpose destroyers of slightly different shapes? So again, I used 4 GPs as the baseline. And then I thought, well, what if I go kind of min-max? What if I go 2 AAs and 2 surface strikes together? And together, they're sort of worse at mainly everything. So yeah, they've got a comparable amount of SAM missiles and a couple of bonus light SAMs, and they've got more medium AAs, but they're considerably worse at surface strike despite the 6-inch guns. So yeah, not really impressed with that. And then I thought, well, what if I mainly had general purpose destroyers, but beefed it up here with a surface strike? And I mean, yeah, it does give us a few more surface missiles, literally a few, 3. But in other respects, meh. And likewise, if you paired up 3 general purposes with an AA destroyer, yeah, you'd get 10 SAMs, which is lovely. But, everything else is just a bit, I don't know. For me, this is still the best all-rounder. I honestly think actually that having 2 AA and 2 surface strike destroyers is like the worst of all worlds. And yeah, these 2 literally have a small impact. And then I realized I'm not really accounting for cost, because, money matters. Money's tight. Money's always tight. So I had a look, and you can see the unit cost per destroyer for the AA is significantly higher than the other 2 versions. The general purpose is almost as cheap as the surface strike, and the surface strike is slightly less. So if you look at the monthly costs, that's how much they cost for a month. Obviously, as destroyers, they all take 18 months to build. So that's per destroyer. For the 4-ship division, that gives us this range of costs. So nearly 7,000 to do 4 AA destroyers, down to 4,900 if I was going to do these 4 surface strikes. Just to remind myself of this judgment, it feels that this mix between general purposes, which come out as a pretty economic 67,000. Yeah, the 4 SUs are nearly 10,000 cheaper, but it's not that much. And particularly, really, it's this figure. It's how much can you squeeze into your monthly budget. And yeah, a difference of just short of 500. I mean, it's not nothing, but it's not breaking the bank. So I'm very much drawn to at least one division of the AAs for the big carriers, and then probably several divisions of the general purpose for the gaps in my division. Remember, I'm down 2 divisions, and also to start replacing some of my 1930s and 1940s destroyers, at least in a fleet role. So that was that. And then one of you kindly prompted me to go, yeah, but what about the Emdens? You could refit the Emdens. And I thought, well, yes, I had dismissed that, but perhaps I dismissed it a little bit too lightly. So here we have a redesigned Emden. It'll take 12 months rather than 18 months. Now, given that war is pretty close, the 18 months, everything could be, the war could be over by the time the new destroyers come in, or very much at the end. Taking out the Emdens is also a bit of a risk, certainly all 5, but for economics comparisons we're going to do 5 Emden light cruiser refits against 5 general purpose destroyer new builds. And it comes out at 52,000 total cost, 121 for the destroyers. Again, what really matters is the monthly cost. So 4 and a bit thousand for the Emdens, nearly 7,000 for the general purpose destroyers. And what bang do you get for that buck? Well, for the Emden design, you'd get it refitting all 5, 20 medium SAMs, compared to 10 on the destroyer division, 20 heavy surface missiles compared to 40 on the destroyers, no helicopters compared to 5 on the destroyers, no ASW compared to 80 for the destroyers, and, oh, that's wrong actually, 15 3-inch guns. Now, of course, I don't have to do either or. I could do, say, 5 Emdens and 2 general purpose destroyers. That would come in at about 7,000, just over 7,000. And my current budget is about 7,250 a month. So I could do that, or I could mix it up. Probably unwise to do all of the Emdens all at once. I probably do 2 and then wait 4 months and then do another 2 and then another 2, kind of rolling program, so that if war came, I would be getting some back pretty quickly. And then finally, with war close, there was some discussion around submarines. A lot of people discount the impact of tactical ASW. So I went back and read the manual. So, how is submarines done? Well, they have a patrol area, and this is true whether they're coastal or ordinary or guided missile or mine-laying submarines. For torpedo attacks, they attack best from the port and starboard forward quarter, so this and this. If you're heading straight for a submarine, that's a bad angle, and if you're heading straight away, that's also a bad angle. Obviously, of particular interest to me is the new missile submarines. I've been investing heavily in SSGs. I'm not sure how many other countries are quite as forward-thinking as I am, but it's, worth thinking about. I assume the missile subs fire heavy surface missiles. That would certainly figure for submarines in the early 1960s. Quite laborious things with not very many. I assume that they have to fire within visual range. They may be able to fire in radar range, but of course, not being very high off the water, they that's that horizon isn't going to be very far, and so obviously, sunny day visual range, and the radar would be useful at night or in murky weather. But they won't get any benefit from other targeting units, is my assumption. And I assume they're happy to fire from any quarter, not just these high-risk areas for the torpedoes. Improved missile subs are coming, whether they fire medium surface-to-surface missiles, in particular so that they can just have a lot more of them. So, yeah. And again, do they fire from radar range? None of this is documented. I then had a look at the tactical ASW. So what happens is screening destroyers, nearby destroyers, will protect larger ships from submarine attack. They will have triple effect, so they will make it harder for the submarine to attack at all. So effectively a soft kill. More likely that the submarine will be spotted and therefore announced, and a possibility of an ASW ship will sink the submarine. Now, a lot of people focus on this last one. I'm actually much more interested in this first one. I mean, obviously sinking submarines is great. Let's have more of that. I mean, the enemy submarines, obviously. But I would very much like it if enemy submarines are put off and deterred from attacking at all. So that's why, although I haven't been investing a lot in the tactical ASW value of my destroyer escorts, it seems to me having a considerable amount would be a good thing. Okay, let's get into the game itself. So here is my Emden refit. So 6-inch guns reduced from 9 down to 3. I haven't been able to make it auto-loading, which is a shame. Let me just pick up. Okay. Yes, I keep on forgetting that this director, even though there are no guns, actually does have an impact. So that's an extra 10. So actually, if I just reduce the ammo down slightly, and get rid of the light AAs, I can have a third medium AA, which is nice. But the real meat and potatoes of this is 2 sets of SAMs, 1 fore, 1 aft, and 1 battery of surface-to-surface missiles with a radar limit of 6. So, yeah, really reorientating these Emdens from gun-based surface action ships with a few surface-to-surface missiles and a bit of heavy AA into primarily being AA-like cruisers with a bit of surface action stuff. So that's that one. So let's get that going. Let's go to the rebuilding dialogue and get that one underway. And then I'm going to avoid the ones that should be on foreign stations. Yes, in foreign stations, West Africa. So let's do a second one. So, yep. If we just have a little look at what we have building, you can see there's a little design study for the general purpose destroyer to reflect those final tweaks. And then there's this pile of redone Z61s. there is the Stauffenberg, 5 months away from re-entering service, which is great. These two Emdens and one of the lovely new Gneisenauer class, which has a long way to go before it brings its goodness into service. Right. So next, let's go to build ship. Let's get the AA destroyers, because I feel getting them built and protecting the big carriers feels like a number one priority. Yes, there's a couple of divisions of them missing, but I can build these, put them with the carriers, and then take the destroyers that were looking after the carriers and add them to others. So that takes us to a small minus number, which is fine. And yeah, that's all I need to do at the moment. So yeah, we're in May. So let's just move it on a couple of turns. Here is another SSG. Oh, the old running aground. So let's view the relationships. So we are at 9 against Italy, France, and Britain. The Soviet Union's popped down to a 6. The Americans are 4. Yeah, it's funny. I'm keen to have a war, but I'm not keen to have a war with everybody at the same time. So I might soft pedal. Usually I would definitely go for the plus prestige and the plus tensions. But we're not going to apologize. So just slightly increased tensions. Tension is very high between Britain and Japan. Okay. Slightly random. Stuff. No, I don't want to put planes into the Baltic. Here's the news. Tension with France has reduced because of previous war. They still learnt their lessons. Okay. So let's say not now for that. So Italy increased. France still remains 9 with the Soviet Union increased. So I guess France might have reduced, but then gone back up again. So yeah. All right. And off into July. And another CGG. There come the destroyers back, which is nice. Right. Government's concerned about tensions. We should call an international disarmament conference. Nah. If you want peace, prepare for war. So plus tension, plus budget. Attractive. We should interest with an agreement with, well, Britain won't, France won't, Italy certainly won't, Soviet Union won't. Japan probably would, but I'm not that, fussed for Japanese help as such. Mind you, Japan is having bothered the Soviet Union. I'd like the USA, but because the USA is in the second band of tensions, it's not full green, it's light green. I rather doubt that they will. So yeah, let's do Japan, because I'm pretty sure Japan definitely will. And let's look at those relationships. So Britain is at 10 with Japan. Yeah. And America is at 0 with Britain, 5 against France, 7 against the Soviet Union. Well, America's a bit all over the place. When have we heard that before? Okay, so let's go Japan. I'm pretty certain, boom, we can get a lovely treaty. Lovely. Anti-ship missiles can attack targets not spotted by the firing ship, so they can share information. That's a lovely one. Very happy with that one. Having problems with anti-missile tactics. Ooh. Britain's spying on us. The cheek. Yeah. strongest possible language. You see, I think the French aren't going to go to war because previous war. So strongest language. Let's see what that does. Right, well, the Japanese launched a new carrier, but otherwise, and it looks like the Japanese leaks from our industry has helped the Japanese with missile technology. But, you know, they're our chums. So that's fine. Okay, we've got a bit more money with those ships. So time to probably rebuild an Emden and probably build a couple of general purpose destroyers. There we go. Slightly under, but that's fine. In 3 months, the Reichsgraf will be finished its rebuild. Oh dear. And meh. And another destroyer. When the last one arrived, I thought I must check how many destroyers I have. There we go. Well, that's interesting. Admiral Dresser, I think that is, has shown himself to have a brilliant ability. Well, I better make sure he's got a job. So let's go to officers, search by ability. Brilliant. And no, he doesn't. So let's change that. Well, obviously the one to do is the North Europe station, which already has a above average, but yeah, time for North Europe. Thank you very much. That is going to cost a prestige. Can't be helped. And then this above average can be given something else to do. I think the Mediterranean is probably the best one, as the rest are all fine. So that's got everybody sorted. And let's go to August. And for the third time, I've forgotten to check how many SSGs we have. So let's go and check that out. Good to see France has halted construction of a carrier due to financial difficulties. Always nice to see that. The British and the French have invented two-phase search. That seems a very old-fashioned tech to have. Right, well, oof. Everybody's getting very tense. 11s, 10s, and so on. Aircraft types. I haven't looked at it. So, all right. Jet attack is 2 months away. And the new heavy fighter is 4 months away from its coming online. SSGs. So let's go to submarines. Okay, we've got 26 SSs. We have 14 coastal submarines, and we have 17 missile boats, and none in under construction. So 57 in all. Yeah, 57, which is the biggest submarine fleet in the world, as befits the German Navy. Feels like enough. Kind of depends on whether the submarines are really effective. Right, let's crack on into October. And there's the Reichsgraf. Welcome back, buddy. And ship design, computer-assisted design calculations. Dear old CAD. And the news, all right. And the French have also halted construction of destroyer because of financial difficulties. Let's bring on the financial difficulties. So yeah, a lot of activity around commissionings and what have you. Tension with France increases as our wealth and power makes them resent us. I think that's a little bit churlish, don't you? Tensions with the USA have reduced as we have no areas of conflicting interest. Yep, you keep on with the isolationism, chaps. Yep, there you go. So, and okay, that only gave us 752 in monthly balance, positive. Suppose I mustn't grumble. Now we have used up all of the coming soon constructions, so it's going to be 7 months before the first couple of Emdens are ready. I could do another Emden. We have the Magdeburg as the only Emden that isn't out on foreign stations, so let's go and rebuild her. And yeah, probably can fit in another destroyer. So let's go to build ship and another general purpose. So that's 7 new destroyers under construction. And let's press on into November. Let's just see if these tensions actually amount to anything in particular. Reichsgraf has finished working up. Boffins are still scratching their heads, but have found short-range air-to-air missiles. Nice. So that's going to give my fighters a big advantage until, obviously, the other side gets that technology. New jet attack prototypes ready for evaluation. So let's have a little look at this crop. So not the leap in performance I was vaguely hoping for, so about 50 knots faster, slightly less range, actually, but still fine. So this Arado seems to be the nicest balance, the longest of the ranges. I mean, it's all very marginal, particularly at the heavy range. So slightly more maneuverable, slightly tougher, same weapons loadout. So yeah, let's go for that one and see what it comes up with. So yes, probably, well, actually, let's say no. But obviously we'll want to have a little look at a new plane. So France has halted construction of a CV due to financial difficulties again. So that's about it in the whole news business. So let's go to aircraft types and have a think about which one we want to research next. So the choices are light jet fighter. So coming up for 3 years old now. Definitely a possibility. The naval patrol aircraft, well, we did look at a better naval patrol aircraft a few years back, and pretty much same old lumbering piston engine thing, so there was no change there. The helicopter might be something, actually, given that the helicopters now have light air surface anti-ship missiles and radar and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to say helicopter. What would we like for the helicopter? So, helicopter, so not speed, not maneuverability, range, probably, not firepower or toughness. So it's then the choice between reliability and bomb load. Well, given that our first generation of helicopters don't seem to be able to carry any weapons whatsoever other than light anti-ship missiles or air-to-surface missiles, I'm minded to have that, or maybe I don't have to worry about that, because really all I'm concerned about is the light air-to-surface missiles. I don't want any helicopter bombing anybody ever. And the only other choice might be a torpedo, but really that doesn't really matter. So assuming that light anti-ship missile is a given, let's go back to the importance of reliability. Okay, so that's got that one underway. And we'll head into December. I would like to launch some more, or start building some more cruisers, but the battlecruiser Franklin, the largest battlecruiser in the world. I mean, it's just tempting me to design a new battlecruiser. I know it is. Okay, motor torpedo boats will now carry 2 heavy surface-to-surface missiles. You see, that might make having some MTB squadrons worth it. Let's just have a little look at that possibility. No to that. See, even the French are suddenly building MTBs in the Antilles. I wonder why. So, yeah, that might be something to spend some money on. Okay, quite a few promotions and what have you around the offices. So I just need to double check on that. The French are building larger docks. How very old-fashioned of them. Okay, so let's have a look at the map. Zoom out, zoom in, scroll around, and see where we might want some MTBs. Well, definitely probably around Finland. If we just zoom in, have I zoomed in too much? Let's go here. Oh, we managed to get the Baltic. Let's have a look at Finland, build fortifications. Let's just push this over here. And we actually have a choice, missile battery. So that costs 8,000 over 8 months. So what is, that's somewhere the equivalent of a 10 and 11-inch coastal battery, although the maintenance is cheaper. The maintenance is similar to an 8-inch. So yeah, let me go to Finland. There we go. Or we can build a motor torpedo boat squadron, which is massively cheaper and only takes 6 months. Of course, what I don't know is how many missiles are in either. Obviously, in the MTB squadron, each missile boat has 2 heavy surface-to-surface missiles, but how many boats are there in an MTB squadron? So I'm going to build 2 in Finland. And I'm going to go back, and I'm also going to build, let's go back to Finland, probably a couple. I mean, it's expensive. Ooh, 2,000 actually. It's too rich. I'm going to build 1 missile battery in Finland. And then in the Baltic states, I'll also build 2 MTB. Funny, when you click on it, it goes to East Germany. No, I quite clearly said the Baltic states. Thank you. So that will be 2 squadrons in the Baltic states, 2 squadrons in Finland of MTBs, and 1 missile battery in Finland. So yeah, that I mean, if I was the Soviet Navy wanting to come out of Kronstadt across the Gulf here, Gulf of Finland, I into the Baltic proper, I don't think I'd like to be running a gauntlet of missile batteries. Then where else? So I think in Tunisia, if I build a couple of MTBs, and then equally in Tunisia. Sorry, did I say Tunisia before? I meant Corsica. and there, and you have to watch this one, or you'll be building them any old place. Tunisia. Close. Okay, so that's put us a bit over, but I think it's an interesting development. Yeah, see what value for money that gives. Obviously, the Mediterranean, I could add that to Greece very easily, but I'll resist the temptation for now. Obviously, if we go to war with Italy, well, guess what I'll be building. And I'm not feeling the need. Relations between France and Italy are very tense. Everybody's a bit tense. Everybody just needs to take a chill pill or something. Temporary setback in miniaturization, and our new fighter is ready for service. So that will take a year or two to wrap its way around everything and replace the old with the new. Lots of commissionings, some scrappings. And that's what I like to see. France is reduced tensions because they know we can beat them. However, tension between the Soviet Union and Great Britain has decreased because they have tense relations with us. I mean, honestly, everybody. And France, although it's reduced them with us, has increased them with Italy. Everybody's just a little bit all over the place. Okay, so that's taken us to January. Tensions are still very, very high. We'll see what we can manage. Our budget seems to have gone up, but our maintenance has also gone up with all of that generous new construction that I've done that doesn't appear here. I'll just sort out the admirals just to check that in the raft of promotions we haven't got ourselves into a sticky position. So yeah, that looks fine for the admirals. Above averages here. So we've got a new von Armin rear admiral who isn't being used. So he probably should get somebody, but no one of the below average is being used. In the Capitaine Zorsay, everyone is being used except as a spare average. And we have the brilliant over here, so that's fundamentally fine. And then here, so yeah, we've got 3 below averages that I will just correct. And join me next time when I will review the year and have a little think about possible war tactics depending on who I go to war with. So join me next time. Thanks very much for watching.